Bali Tower, good afternoon. Emirates 2068 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Emirates 2068.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. LATAM 7137 ready for pushback at 22. Cleared for pushback LATAM 7137.
Good afternoon. I-9553 ready for pushback at 14.
Taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 LATAM 7137.
Taxi to gate 22 Emirates 2068.
Cleared for pushback high 92553.
Cleared to land on 27 Aeroflot 90724.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Iroquois 9369 ready for pushback at 23. Bali ground, high 92553 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 high 92553.
25 ready for pushback at 27. Cleared for pushback Iroquois 9369er.
Bali Tower, LATAM 7137 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Air France 1210 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Air France 1210. Bali clearance, good afternoon. Transnorth 5911 ready for pushback at 35.
Taxi to gate 14 Aeroflot 90724.
Cleared for pushback Swiss 1425. Bali ground, Iroquois 9369er ready to taxi.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 LATAM 7137.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Qatari 3637 ready for pushback at 19er. Bali ground, Swiss 1425 ready to taxi.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Alaska 8853 ready for pushback at 1.
Taxi to 27 Iroquois 9369er. Taxi to 27 Swiss 1425.
Cleared for pushback Alaska 8853.
Cleared for pushback Qatari 3637.
Bali ground, Air France 1210 taxi to the gates. Bali Tower, high 92553 ready for takeoff on 27. Bali ground, Air France 1210 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali ground, Alaska 8853 ready to taxi.
Taxi to gate 23 Air France 1210. Cleared for takeoff on 27 high 92553.
Taxi to 27 Alaska 8853.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Inan 5136 is on final for 27. Clear to land on 27 Inan 5136.
Bali ground, Qatari 3637 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Qatari 3637.
Cleared for pushback trams north 59011.
Bali clearance good afternoon, Philippines 4069 ready for pushback at 65. Cleared for pushback Philippines 4069.
Bali Tower, Swiss 1425 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, trams north 59011 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Philippines 4069 ready to taxi.
Taxi to 27 trams north 59011.
Taxi to 27 Philippines 4069.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Swiss 1425.
Bali ground, Hainan 5136 taxi to the gates. Taxi to gate 19 Hainan 5136.
Bali clearance good afternoon, Etihad 6725 ready for pushback at 68. Bali Tower, Iroquois 9369 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali Tower good afternoon, Korean 3552 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Korean 3552.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Iroquois 9369. Cleared for pushback Etihad 6725.
Bali Tower, trams north 59011 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Etihad 6725 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Etihad 6725.
Bali clearance good afternoon. Egypt Air 7211 ready for pushback at 29.
Cleared for pushback Egypt Air 7211.
Bali Tower good afternoon. China Eastern 8368 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 China Eastern 8368.
Bali clearance good afternoon. Vueling 2137 ready for pushback at 67.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Trans North 59011.
Bali ground, Egypt Air 7211 ready to taxi.
Bali Tower, Qatari 3637 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Korean 3552 taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 Egypt Air 7211.
Taxi to gate 35 Korean 3552.
Cleared for pushback Vueling 2137.
Bali clearance good afternoon. Vueling 9553 ready for pushback at 64.
Bali ground. Vueling 2137 ready for taxi.
Cleared for pushback Vueling 9553.
Bali Tower good afternoon. Yaml 4424 is on final for 27.
Taxi to 27 Vueling 2137.
Bali ground, China Eastern 8368 taxi to the gates. Bali ground, China Eastern 8368 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance good afternoon. Hainan 1369 are ready for pushback at 21.
Clear to land on 27 Yaml 4424.
Taxi to 27 Vueling 9553.
Taxi to gate 27 China Eastern 8368.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Korean 69010 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Korean 69010. Bali clearance, good afternoon. Singapore 5425 ready for pushback at 17.
Bali ground, Yango 4424 taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Emirates 2069 are ready for pushback at 22.
Bali ground, Yango 4424 requesting taxi to the gates. Taxi to gate 1 Yango 4424.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Egypt Air 7636 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Egypt Air 7636.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. China Eastern 39011 ready for pushback at 10.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Qatari 3637.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Aeroflot 9725 ready for pushback at 14.
Cleared for pushback China Eastern 39011.
Cleared for pushback Aeroflot 9725.
Cleared for pushback Singapore 5425. Bali ground, Korean 69010 taxi to gate.
Cleared for pushback Hainan 1360.
Pushback Emirates 2069. Bali Tower, Alaska 853 ready for takeoff on 27. Bali ground, Korean 69010 requesting taxi to gate.
Bali ground, China Eastern 39011 ready to taxi.
Cleared to land on 27 China Eastern 2852.
Taxi to 27 Hainan 1369.
Taxi to 27 Aeroflot 9725.
Taxi to 27 Singapore 5425. Taxi to 27 Emirates 2069.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. KLM 8637 ready for pushback at 18.
Taxi to 27 China Eastern 39011.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Kestrel 90068 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Kestrel 90068.
Taxi to gate 22 Korean 69010. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Alaska 8853.
Taxi to gate 64 Egypt Air 7636.
Bali Tower, Egypt Air 7211 ready for takeoff on 27.
Cleared for pushback KLM 8637.
Cleared to land on 27 Azerbaijan 1724.
Taxi to gate 21 China Eastern 2852.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. American 4853 ready for pushback at 30.
Bali ground, KLM 8637 ready to taxi.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Air France 1211 ready for pushback at 23.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Egypt Air 7211.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Air Transat 5210 is on final for 27.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Philippines 4069er.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Aeroflot 6069 ready for pushback at 24.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Etihad 6725.
Cleared to land on 27 Air Transat 5210.
Taxi to gate 65 Castro 9068.
Bali Tower, Vueling 2137 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi 227 KLM 8637.
Bali ground, China Eastern 7725 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 American 4853.
Cleared for pushback Hainan 5137.
Cleared to land on 27 Virgin 3136.
Bali ground, Azerbaijan 1724 requesting taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 Air France 1211.
Hold position Alaska 2211.
Taxi to 27 Aeroflot 6069.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Vueling 2137.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Vueling 90553.
Bali ground, Air Transat 5210 requesting taxi to the gates.
Taxi 227 Hainan 5137.
Taxi to 27 China Eastern 7725.
Bali Tower, Emirates 2069 ready for takeoff on 27.
Cleared to land on 27 Berlin 8552.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Lion into 9137 ready for pushback at 7.
Taxi to gate 24 Azerbaijan 1724. Continue taxi Alaska 2211.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Korean 3553 ready for pushback at 35.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Egypt Air 1553 ready for pushback at 6. Bali Tower, Hainan 1369 ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for pushback Egypt Air 1553.
Cleared for pushback Lion into 9137.
Bali ground, Egypt Air 1553 ready to taxi.
Taxi to 27 Lion into 9137.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Emirates 4368 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Emirates 4368.
Taxi to 27 Egypt Air 1553. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Hainan 1369er. Bali ground, Berlin 8552 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. China Eastern 8369 ready for pushback at 27.
On 27 Airport 9725.
Bali Tower, China Eastern 39011 ready for takeoff on 27.
Clearance, good afternoon.
Taxi to gate 67 Berlin 8552.
Cleared for pushback Emirates 5369er.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Lion Inter 6424 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Lion Inter 6424.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Virgin 3425 ready for pushback at 25.
Bali ground, Yango 4425 ready to taxi.
Cleared for pushback Korean 6911.
Bali ground, Emirates 4368 requesting taxi to the gates.
Cleared for pushback Virgin 3425.
Cleared for pushback China Eastern 8369.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Etihad 79010 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Etihad 79010.
Bali ground, Emirates 5369 ready to taxi. Bali ground, Korean 6911 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Virgin 3425 ready to taxi.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Inter 89011 ready for pushback at 28.
Cleared to land on 27 Saudi at 2636.
Bali ground, China Eastern 8369 ready to taxi.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Egypt Air 7637 ready for pushback at 64.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Alaska 4637 ready for pushback at 69.
Bali ground. Lion Inter 6424 taxi to the gates.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 American 4853.
Taxi 27 Yango 4425.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. China Eastern 2853 ready for pushback at 21.
Cleared to land on 27 China Eastern 9852.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 KLM 8637.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Etihad 6853 ready for pushback at 26.
Bali ground, Etihad 79010 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. United 7069 ready for pushback at 2.
Clear for takeoff on 27 Aragon 6069.
Bali Tower, Air France 1211 ready for takeoff on 27.
Cleared for pushback Korean 3553.
Bali ground, Saudi at 2636 taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 China Eastern 8369.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Sky 1068 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Sky 1068.
Taxi to 27 Virgin 3425.
Taxi to 27 Korean 6911. Taxi to 27 Emirates 5369er. Bali clearance, good afternoon. Korean 2725 ready for pushback at 31.
Taxi to 27 Korean 3553.
Taxi to gate 35 Emirates 4368.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Air Transat 5211 ready for pushback at 5.
Taxi to gate 1 Lion Inter 6424.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Kestrel 90069 ready for pushback at 65. Taxi to gate 19 China Eastern 9852.
Taxi to gate 27 Etihad 9010.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Sky 5724 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Sky 5724.
Taxi to gate 14 Saudi at 2636.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Emirates 90211 ready for pushback at 34. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Air France 1211.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Azerbaijan 1725 ready for pushback at 24.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Hainan 5137. Bali clearance, good afternoon. Etihad 1137 ready for pushback at 32.
Bali ground, Sky 1068 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali Tower, China Eastern 7725 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi to gate 6 Sky 1068.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. American 5553 ready for pushback at 3.
Clear to land on 27 IR 33210.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 China Eastern 7725.
Bali Tower, Alaska 2211 ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Alaska 2211.
Bali Tower, Bali 9137 ready for takeoff on 27. Bali ground, Sky 5724 taxi to the gate. Bali ground, Sky 5724 requesting taxi to the gates. Taxi to gate 68 Sky 5724.
Bali Tower, good afternoon. Activate 136 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Activate 136.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Azerbaijan 3369 ready for pushback at 16.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Virgin 3137 ready for pushback at 23. Cleared for takeoff on 27 line into 9137.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Egypt Air 1553.
Taxi to gate 10 IR 33210.
Bali Tower, Korean 3553 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Berlin 8553 ready for pushback at 67.
Cleared for pushback Azerbaijan 3369.
Clear to land on 27 Swiss 4552.
Bali clearance, good afternoon. Gulf Air 8425 ready for pushback at 4.
Bali ground, China Eastern 2853 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Virgin 3137 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Azerbaijan 1725 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Etihad 6853 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Inter 8911 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Korean 2725 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Etihad 1137 ready to taxi.
Cleared to land on 27 Boeing 6368.
Bali ground, Azerbaijan 3369 ready to taxi.
Taxi to gate 12 Activate 136.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Korean 3553. Cleared for takeoff on 27 China Eastern 8369.
Bali ground, Cadillac 4911 ready to taxi.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Virgin 3425. Bali ground, Emirates 9211 ready to taxi. Bali clearance, good afternoon. Jordanian 6637 ready to pushback at 8.
Taxi to gate 18 Swiss 4552.
Bali clearance, good evening. Mylanda 6425 ready for pushback at 1.
Taxi to 27 Azerbaijan 3369.
Bali Tower, Korean 6911 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi 227 China Eastern 2853.
Taxi to 27 Inter 8911.
Taxi to 27 Virgin 3137.
Taxi to 27 Azerbaijan 1725.
Taxi to 27 Etihad 6853.
Bali Tower, good evening. This is 742 Bali on final for Cleared to land on 27
Taxi to 27 Korean 2725.
Taxi 227 Etihad 1137.
Taxi to 27 Cadillac 4911.
Taxi to 27 Emirates 9211.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 to reach 6911. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Emirates 536 Bali ground, UA6368 request in taxi to King.
Bali clearance good evening, American 7853 ready for pushback at 66.
Bali Tower, Lima 445 ready for pushback at 27.
Taxi to gate 7 Boeing 6368.
Cleared for pushback Egypt Air 7637. Cleared for pushback Castro 9069er.
Cleared for pushback American 7853.
Cleared to land on 27 Iberia 2910.
Cleared for pushback Berlin 8553.
Cleared for pushback Alaska 4637.
Cleared for pushback Lion Inter 6425. Cleared for pushback United 7069er.
Cleared for pushback American 5553.
Cleared for pushback Gulf Air 8425.
Cleared for pushback Air Transat 5211.
Cleared for pushback Jordanian 6637.
Bali ground, Egypt Air 7637 ready to taxi. Bali ground, Castro 9069er ready to taxi.
Bali Tower good evening, Qatari 90636 is on final for 27.
Bali ground, American 7853 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Berlin 8553 ready to taxi.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Emirates 90211. Bali ground, Alaska 4637 ready to taxi.
Taxi to 27 Lion Inter 6425.
Taxi to 27 American 5553.
Taxi to 27 United 7069er.
Taxi to 27 Gulf Air 8425.
Hold position Air Transat 5211.
Bali Tower, Cargolux 4911 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance good evening, Etihad 79011 ready for pushback at 27.
Taxi to 27 Jordanian 6637.
Bali clearance good evening, Saudia 2637 ready for pushback at 14.
Cleared to land on 27 Iberia 1852.
Taxi to gate 26 Iberia 2910. Bali clearance good evening, Emirates 4369er ready for pushback at 35.
Continue taxi Air Transat 5211. Taxi to 27 Alaska 4637.
Taxi to 27 Berlin 8553.
Taxi to 27 American 7853.
Taxi to 27 Castro 9069er. Bali clearance good evening, China Eastern 90853 ready for pushback at 19er. Bali Tower good evening, Castro 5068 is on final for 27. Clear to land on 27 Castro 5068. Taxi to 27 Egypt Air 7637.
Taxi to gate 17 Qatari 90636.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Cargolux 4911.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Etihad 1137.
Taxi to 27 Sky 1069er.
Bali clearance good evening, IRQ 3211 ready for pushback at 10.
Taxi to gate 20 Iberia 1852. Cleared to land on 27 Delta 3724.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Korean 2725.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Inter 8911.
Bali clearance good evening, Sky 5725 ready for pushback at 68.
Bali ground, IRQ 3211 ready to taxi.
Cleared for pushback Saudi 2637.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Unmatched 6853.
Bali ground. Tesla 5068 requesting taxi to the gate. Bali Tower, Azerbaijan 1725 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Saudi 2637 ready for taxi. Taxi to 27 Saudi 2637.
Taxi 227 Ira 33211.
Bali clearance good evening, Etiquette 137 ready for pushback at 12.
Cleared to land on 27 Singapore 810.
Taxi to gate 1 Kestrel 5068.
Cleared for pushback Sky 5725.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Azerbaijan 1725.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Virgin 3137.
Bali ground, Delta 3724 taxi to the gates.
Bali ground, Sky 5725 ready for taxi.
Bali Tower, China Eastern 2853 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Delta 3724 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance good evening. With 4553 ready for pushback at 18.
Taxi to gate 6 Delta 3724.
Bali clearance good evening, Boeing 6369 ready for pushback at 7.
Bali Tower good evening. Transnord 4136 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Transnord 4136.
Cleared for pushback Swiss 4553.
Cleared for pushback China Eastern 90853.
Cleared for pushback Etiquette 137.
Cleared for pushback Etiquette 79011.
Bali ground, Singapore 8210 requesting taxi to the gates.
Taxi 227 Swiss 4553.
Taxi to 27 China Eastern 90853.
Taxi to 27 Etiquette 137.
Taxi to 27 Etiquette 79011.
Taxi to 27 Sky 5725.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 China Eastern 2853.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Azerbaijan 3369.
Bali ground,
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Jordanian 6637.
Bali Tower, Air Transat 5211 ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Air Transat 5211.
Bali Tower, Gulf Air 8425 ready for takeoff on 27.
Cleared to land on 27 Southwest 6552.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Gulf Air 8425.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 American 5553.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 United 7069. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Lion Inter 6425.
taxi to gate 34 Transnord 4136.
Bali Tower, Alaska 4637 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance good evening. Turkish 7425 ready for pushback at 8.
Cleared for pushback Boeing 6369. Bali Tower good evening, Virgin 7368 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Virgin 7368.
Clear for pushback 57425.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Alaska 4637.
Taxi to 27 Boeing 6369.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Berlin 8553.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 American 7853.
Taxi to gate 30 Southwest 6552.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Presto 90069. Bali Tower, Egypt Air 7637 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali Tower, good evening. United 2424 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 United 2424.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Egypt Air 7637. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Sky 1069er.
Bali ground, Virgin 7368 requesting taxi to the gate.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Saudia 2637.
Bali Tower, Higher 33211 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance for evening. Bali 9637 ready for pushback at 17.
Bali clearance, good evening. Iberia 1853 ready for pushback at 20.
Cleared to land on 27 Turkish 9910.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Air 33211.
Bali Tower, Etihad 79011 ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Etihad 79011.
Bali Tower, China Eastern 90853 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, United 2424 taxi to the gate. Taxi to gate 24 United 2424.
Cleared to land on 27 Singapore 1636.
Cleared for pushback Iberia 29er11.
Cleared for pushback Qatari 90637.
Cleared for pushback Iberia 1853.
Cleared for pushback Emirates 4369er. Cleared for takeoff on 27 China Eastern 90853.
Bali Tower, with 4553 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Turkish 9910 taxi to the gate.
Bali ground, Iberia 29er11 ready for taxi.
Bali ground, Iberia 1853 ready for taxi.
Bali ground, Emirates 4369er ready for taxi. Bali clearance, good evening. Presto 5069er ready for pushback at 1.
Bali ground, Qatari 90637 ready to taxi. Taxi to gate 29 Turkish 9910.
Bali Tower, good evening. Alitalia 5852 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Alitalia 5852.
Taxi to 27 for Kelly 9637.
Taxi to 27 Iberia 1853.
Taxi to 27 Iberia 29er 11.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Swiss 4553.
Bali Tower, Activate 137 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi to 27 Emirates 4369er.
Bali ground, Singapore 1636 requesting taxi to the gate. Taxi to gate 27 Singapore 1636.
Cleared for pushback Castro 5069er.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Activate 137.
Cleared to land on 27 Delta 306A.
Bali clearance, good evening. Delta 3725 ready for pushback at 6.
Bali ground, Castro 5069er ready for taxi.
Cleared to take off on 27 Sky 5725.
Bali ground, Alitalia 5852 requesting taxi to the gate.
Bali clearance, good evening. Singapore 89 ready for takeoff on 26. Bali Tower, 5745 ready for takeoff.
Taxi to gate 23 Alitalia 5852.
Taxi to 27 Castro 5069er.
Cleared for pushback Delta 3725. Bali ground, Delta 3725 ready to taxi.
Clear for pushback Singapore 8211. Clear for takeoff on 27 5745.
Cleared to land on 27 Lion Inter 8724.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Green 6369er.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Emirates 4369er.
Bali ground, Delta 306A taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 Delta 3725.
Taxi 27 Singapore 8211.
Bali Tower, Iberia 29er 11 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi to gate 28 Delta 306A.
Cleared to land on 27 China Eastern 4210.
Clear for pushback Bravo 4 on 27.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Iberia 29er 11.
Bali Tower, Iberia 1853 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Lion Inter 8724 taxi to the gate.
Bali ground, Delta 4 on 27 ready for taxi.
Bali ground, Lion Inter 8724 requesting taxi to the gate.
Taxi 27 Trans Airport 137.
Taxi to gate 26 Lion Inter 8724.
land on 27 Southwest 6136.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Iberia 1853.
Bali ground, China Eastern 4210 taxi to the gates. Bali Tower, Qatari 90637 ready for takeoff on 27. Bali ground, China Eastern 4210 requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali Tower, good evening. Escort 7552 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Escort 7552.
Taxi to gate 22 China Eastern 4210. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Qatari 90637.
Clearance, good evening. Southwest 6553 ready for pushback at 30.
Taxi to gate 21 Southwest 6136.
Cleared for pushback Southwest 6553.
Bali Tower, good evening. Japan Air 2368 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Japan Air 2368.
Clear for takeoff on 27 Transnor 427.
Taxi to 27 Southwest 6553.
Clear for takeoff on 27 Transnor.
Bali ground. Escort 7552 taxi to the gates.
Bali clearance, good evening. United 2425 ready for pushback at 24.
Bali Tower, Delta 3725 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground. Escort 7552 requesting taxi to the gates.
Cleared for pushback United 2425.
Bali clearance, good evening. Virgin 7369 are ready for pushback at 25.
Bali Tower, good evening. Air France 9424 is on final for 27.
Cleared to land on 27 Air France 9424. Taxi to gate 30 Escort 7552.
Cleared for pushback Virgin 7369.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Delta 3725.
Bali Tower, Kestrel 5069er ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Kestrel 5069er.
Taxi to gate 25 Japan Air 2368.
Taxi 227 United 2425.
Bali Tower, good evening. Hainan 1910 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Hainan 1910.
Bali Tower, Southwest 6553 ready for takeoff on 27.
Taxi to 27 Durban 7369.
Bali ground, Air France 9424 taxi to the gates. Taxi to gate 24 Air France 9424.
Bali Tower, good evening. Latin 5636 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Latin 5636.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Southwest 6553.
Bali clearance, good evening. Turkish 99911 ready to push back at 29. Bali ground, Hainan 1910 requesting taxi to the gates. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Durban 7369.
Cleared for pushback Singapore 1637.
Cleared for pushback Turkish 99911.
Bali Tower, United 2425 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance, good evening. Alitalia 5853 ready for pushback at 23.
Bali ground, Turkish 99911 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Turkish 99911.
Cleared for pushback Alitalia 5853.
Taxi to gate 20 Hainan 1910.
Bali ground, Singapore 1637 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Singapore 1637.
Bali Tower, good evening. Japan Air 3852 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Japan Air 3852.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 United 2425.
Bali ground, Alitalia 5853 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Latin 5636 taxi to the gate. Bali ground, Latin 5636 requesting taxi to the gate. Taxi to gate 29 Latin 5636.
Taxi to 27 Alitalia 5853.
Bali Tower, Turkish 9911 ready for takeoff on 27. Bali Tower, good evening. Air Canada 8068 is on final for 27.
Bali clearance, good evening. Delta 3069 ready for pushback at 28.
Cleared to land on 27 Air Canada 8068. Bali ground, Japan Air 3852 taxi to the base. Cleared to take off on 27 Turkish 9911. Bali ground, Japan Air 3852 taxi to the base.
Bali Tower, Singapore 1637 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance, good evening. Lion Inter 8725 ready for pushback at 26.
Taxi to gate 27 Japan Air 3852.
Bali Tower, good evening. Euro 4724 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Euro 4724.
Cleared for pushback Lion Inter 8725.
Cleared for pushback Delta 3069.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Singapore 1637. Bali Tower, Alitalia 5853 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Air Canada 8068 taxi to the gates.
Bali ground, Delta 3069 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Lion Inter 8725 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Air Canada 8068 requesting taxi to the gates.
Taxi to 27 Lion Inter 8725.
Taxi 227 Delta 3069.
Bali clearance, good evening. China Eastern 4211 ready for pushback at 22.
Bali Tower, good evening. Alitalia 6210 is on final for 27. Clear to land on 27 Alitalia 6210. Taxi to gate 28 Air Canada 8068.
Cleared for pushback China Eastern 4211.
Bali clearance, good evening. Southwest 6137 ready for pushback at 21.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Alitalia 5853.
Taxi to 27 China Eastern 4211.
Bali ground, Euro 4724 taxi to the gates. requesting taxi to the gates.
Bali Tower, Delta 3069 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali Tower, good evening, Romania 7136 is on final for 27. Cleared to take southwest 6137. Cleared to land on 27 Romania 7136. Taxi to gate 23 Alitalia 6210.
Taxi to gate 2604724.
Bali ground, southwest 6137 ready for taxi. Taxi to 27 southwest 6137.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Delta 3069. Cleared to land on 27 Qatari 2552.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Lion Inter 8725.
Bali clearance, good morning. Kestrel 7553 ready for pushback at 30.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 China Eastern 4211.
Bali ground, Romania 7136 taxi to the gates. Bali ground, Romania 7136 requesting taxi to the gates.
Cleared for pushback Kestrel 7553.
Taxi to gate 22 Germania 7136.
Good morning, Virgin 93688 is on final 427. Clear to land on 27 Virgin 93688.
Bali ground. Kestrel 7553 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Kestrel 7553.
Bali Tower, southwest 6137 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance, good morning. Japan Air 2369 ready for pushback at 25.
Body clearance good morning, Hainan 1911 ready for pushback at 20. Cleared for pushback Hainan 1911.
Bali clearance good morning, Air France 90425 ready for pushback at 24.
Bali ground, Qatari 2552 taxi to the gates. Taxi to gate 21 Qatari 2552.
Cleared for pushback Air France 90425.
Cleared for pushback Japan Air 2369.
Bali Tower good morning, Singapore 1424 is on final for 27.
Bali ground, Hainan 1911 ready to taxi. Taxi to 27 Hainan 1911.
Bali ground, Air France 90425 ready to taxi.
Bali ground, Japan Air 2369 ready to taxi.
Cleared to land on 27 Singapore 1424.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Southwest 6137.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Kestrel 7553.
Taxi to gate 20 Virgin 936A.
Taxi to 27 Japan Air 2369.
Taxi to 27 Air France 90425.
Bali Tower, Lion Inter Flight 9010 Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
Bali Tower, Japan Air 2369 are ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali clearance, good morning, Latin 5637 ready for pushback at 29. Cleared for pushback, Latin 5637.
Cleared for takeoff on 27 Japan Air 2369.
Bali Tower, Air France 9425 ready for takeoff on 27. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Air France 9425.
Bali Tower, good morning, Air Transat 3636 is on final for 27.
Bali ground, Latin 5637 ready to taxi. Bali Tower, Hainan 1911 ready for takeoff on 27.
Cleared to land on 27 Air Transat 3636.
Taxi to 27 Latin 5637. Bali clearance, good morning, Japan Air 3853 ready for pushback at 27. Cleared for pushback, Japan Air 3852.
Bali Tower, good morning, Air France 8852 is on final for 27. Cleared to land on 27 Air France 8852.
Cleared for pushback, Euro 4725.
Taxi to 27 Japan Air 3853. Cleared for takeoff on 27 Hainan 1911.
Bali ground, Air Transat 3636 taxi to the base.
Bali Tower, Latin 5637 ready for takeoff on 27.
Bali ground, Air Transat 3636 requesting taxi to the base.
Bali clearance, good morning, Alitalia 6311 ready for pushback at 23.
Bali ground, Euro 4725 ready for taxi.
Bali Tower, good morning, Euro 4068 is on final for 27.